artists like take years, and maybe the first album's not that great, second album's not that great, and it's, you know, back in the day they used to put investment into these artists, and they'd get better. I mean, like Dave, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if he sort of had an industry exec turn up on his first day, like assuming he wasn't in Nirvana, just he was complete newbie, and listened to his voice, they might have gone, actually, no, we're going to pass on this one. You know, whereas they should have like put the investment in, like they did, and and waited 4 or 5 albums down the line. His voice is insane, and it goes all night, and he's just screaming.
Mate,
that's
the biggest workhorse voice, one of the biggest out there right now. Like, it's just unbelievable. Like I saw him at Reading, 3 hours they were going, and he's screaming his head off. Like in a rock scream, so he's meant to be doing that, not like Elton John screaming, but
Yoko Ono screaming.
Yoko Ono screaming, yeah. Like, you know, when people get older, they just have to scream through the songs nowadays. But he doesn't, you know, and he's just absolutely nailing it. But again, you look back at the old days where they were at Reading, you know, like the 5th band up in Reading, and his voice is completely gone, just completely gone, terrible. You know, I felt so bad for him, and he felt bad. There's an interview as well. He just had to go out there and just try his best, basically. But, you know, you can clearly see the progress with him, which I love. I absolutely love that about him. And he's a multi-instrumentalist as well, another thing. I want to stop going on about Dave, but whole first 2 albums, he pretty much recorded everything. Which is, fantastic. I think, just so much respect there, because it means he knows what he wants. Anyway, good
top
man.
Marks for Dave Grohl.
Top bloke, Dave Grohl, yeah. All right, next guy. So I wanted to sort of encompass a lot of the things that I'm interested in. So politics is the next one. This guy, I think, is definitely the guy responsible for me sort of getting into politics and thinking a little bit more about things in general. Christopher Hitchens.
Right, nice.
He was also a notorious smoker. Obviously, kind of downer, but he ended up dying because of it, probably because of his he got cancer. But Jesus Christ, I don't know why I brought that up. But yeah, he was a prolific smoker, and he loved Johnny Walker Black Label, so big Scotch drinker as well.
Nice.
But one of the greatest sort of thinkers not of our time, but maybe the generation before us, you know. And he wasn't someone who was scared of changing his mind. He used to be like a Trotskyist, like a very far left socialist, effectively. He went to Cuba after revolution to check it out and help out. That was kind of his turning point, though, because he realised it wasn't this like utopian place that it was led to believe. And he sort of went a little bit further, more conservative, but he still had the very left, like anti-religion, which I kind of disagree with him on, but very anti-religion. And man, he was just one of the best people you could debate with. He was just very smart, had great insights and stuff. I wish he was alive today. He'd be so useful right now with some of the stuff we're going through, just to have a really good sort of perspective on stuff. But absolutely love the guy, and his books make you smarter when you read them, because he was an insanely well-read guy, and his writing is just another level. Yeah, definitely recommend anything Christopher Hitchens. So he got me into politics, also the smoking and the Scotch drinking as well. Give them extra points. And then the last guy, I had to go with like an action film guy. Obviously, I'm not getting through the whole Blokes podcast, and I've talked about it before. I think he was my man of the year or whatever we said, but Bruce Willis is my next guy. I've seen almost all of his films. Well, he's been in so many, but I've seen a lot of his films. As a kid, his action films, I grew up on them. Die Hard, Fifth Element, Tears of the Sun, Unbreakable. They're just insane films. I absolutely love all of them. And yeah, goddamn, he just so cool. Just the essence of cool for me, anyway. And if I look like that, dude. You know, if I bald and I look like him, then I'm good. I'm down. So yeah, so they're my 3. I think they've impacted me the most, and they definitely have shaped the bloke I want to be. And I think they've shaped a lot of people. I don't think I'm alone there. So yeah, I think they're my 3. So hopefully they pass the test and I don't get too much abuse for them.
Fantastic. No,
hopefully Pete approves of them.
Yeah. Oh dear, I still haven't got that phone call from last week. I can't remember what we said, but I said something about Pete, and I was expecting a phone call immediately. Maybe he's not realised there's a new episode up. But yeah. All fantastic. Yeah, nice assortment as well. Like you're covering a lot of ground with those 3 guys. That's
I tried to. Yeah, that was my goal.
I can't pick any flaws whatsoever. Actually, they're fantastic. Okay, cool. So I'm going to plough into mine, right?
Go for it. Yeah.
Let me get my little notes up here. Okay, so let me go. Okay, number one. I'm going to go with Ian Fleming. Okay.
Great.
The author. So I was assuming that we couldn't have fictional characters. So sort of Fleming for me is like a halfway house because obviously, for anyone who doesn't know, Ian Fleming wrote James Bond, the original novels upon which all the films are based, right? And he is just this super stylish, old-fashioned Englishman that's led this massively adventurous life. Obviously, he's sort of very fortunate. He's born into a lot of money and went to nice schools and all that sort of thing. But he's done so many different things. He was in the Navy. He had a lot of fun during the war. He's just a bit of an adventurer. He speaks multiple languages. He can ski. He can shoot a gun. He can write. All these different things. And he's such a stylish guy. And basically, if you know a lot about Fleming, like I do, I've read biographies, and all this sort of stuff. Basically, James Bond is Fleming. He's based on Fleming, and he's sort of embellished a little bit. James Bond is the bloke that Fleming wants to be, right? But he's sort of 80% there already, right? And and I just love it. So he's the closest I can get to picking James Bond as one of my top 3 blokes, right?
Sure.
He also knows exactly what he likes, which is a character trait that Bond inherited as well, right? He likes his breakfast exactly how he wants it. He doesn't care how anybody else eats their breakfast. This is an example, Same applies to lots of other things, but once he likes something, he likes the best quality, and he will just do that and eat that and drink that and smoke that or whatever it is for the rest of his life, right? Yeah. He knows exactly what he wants, and he's not afraid to let anybody know about it. He's got very strong opinions, not all of which I agree with, but I like a strong opinioned chap. Basically, I think a man should stand by his beliefs and his opinions and that sort of thing, And I think that's one of his admirable qualities. I also bloody love his house in Jamaica and the fact that he spent his winters in the Caribbean every year. After he bought this house, and he just avoided winter for the majority of his life. And I think that's
got to be a dream that's just the dream, isn't it? Having a holiday home somewhere on the southern hemisphere or somewhere where it's hot all the time,
Yeah,
so you just miss winter every year. Great. And it was called GoldenEye, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, man.
Very cool.
So yeah, Fleming's number 1. Okay, number 2. I'm going to go for an American. I'm going to go for the King, Elvis Presley.
Wow. Okay. All right. I didn't expect that from you. Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I thought, like yourself, I thought I've got to include a musician, and just the King sprung straight to mind. Right. He sort of lit a fire under my arse when I was a kid. Obviously, I'd heard a lot of music as a kid, just because there was lots in my house. But just Presley, just specifically young Presley. I'm not a massive fan of later years Hawaiian fat Elvis with his jumpsuits. I'm not a massive fan of that. But young Presley, 1955, 56, 57, those sort of years.
Yeah,
he's just incredible. Number one, he looks amazing, and he's sort of sculpted the way that men are supposed to look, right? If it wasn't for Presley, I think we'd all look very different. I know we don't look exactly the same as that nowadays, but it was a sort of defining moment, like from that point in the 50s when Presley had his hair like he did, he wore those clothes, he was doing that sort of thing, singing that way, shaking himself about that way, like that sort of, I believe anyway, had a massive effect on just what blokes did and what blokes thought was cool, and the way that it sort of blokes' fashion and style and attitude and that sort of swagger almost like came from Presley, in my opinion. So that's the main reason. And he's such an incredible singer, and his music's great, and he's sort of there are still blokes in pubs today doing that sort of Presley, that sort of singing, like it's influenced the way blokes sing, for generations to come. Like it's incredible. I think it's just to do with his style, I guess, that ultimate manly style. So I'm going to give a nod to the King, Elvis Presley.
Great choice.
Number 3. This is a big one, and I kind of felt a bit cheesy and a bit cop-outy by saying this one. And I kind of thought you might have said it as well. But the third and final one is Winston Churchill.
Oh, yeah, okay. Cool.
So Churchill had a very different style to Presley.
I don't think they would have got on too well either.
No, neither do I. But that's a point I want to bring up, actually. The fact that not all blokes would get on, and that all blokes are flawed, fundamentally flawed, right? Anybody could sort of message us to say, oh, well, actually, I didn't like this because Presley did this, or Fleming did this, or Churchill said this, or whatever. And that's absolutely fine. I think all blokes are different. Even me and you, who are very similar, we're still different. There's stuff we disagree on, right? And I think that's a good thing. We've all got flaws. And, some people nowadays don't like Churchill. I don't care. Churchill's amazing. He saved the Western world. That's not an exaggeration. He literally single-handedly saved the Western world. Nobody else contributed whatsoever. It was just Churchill against the enemy. His never say die attitude, his strength in the face of adversity, his unfaltering Englishness, the fact that he doesn't follow a crowd, he forges his own path. Doesn't matter what people say to him, he's going to do what he believes is right. And I think that's amazing. That stiff upper lip. All these things just contribute to the fact that Winston Churchill is one of the greatest humans of all time. I'm going to say that as a massive statement, but I believe it. Fight me.
Yeah.
Basically, despite his flaws, like I'm saying, listen, I'm not saying he's 100% perfect, but one of the greatest of all time. His intelligence, his thoughtfulness, the fact that he just didn't give up. He was, he was working from his bed at all hours of the day. The fact that he smoked 8 Cuban cigars a day, the fact that he drunk like a fish, not that we're advocating this, but it's just, like you're saying, that this sort of stylishness of drinking champagne for breakfast, of smoking a Cuban cigar when you're at work. It's just super cool bloke stuff, right? It might not be the best for your health, but it's cool, right?
Very, very cool.
I love it, that sort of thing. So, yeah, Churchill's topping it off for me.
You know what? Every time we mention Churchill, I totally agree, by the way, before we go any further, but every time we mention Churchill and his sort of like eating and drinking habits and smoking habits, I just feel like, right, one day we just need to set a day aside when we're allowed to be in the same room as each other and just have a Churchill day where we wake up and we live like Churchill for an entire day.
Wear bow ties.
Yeah, exactly.
The works. So we're going to eat.
Play Risk.
Yeah. Play Risk, smoke 8 cigars, but only half. He only smoked the first half.
Or maybe just buy like Coronas rather than like full Churchill sizes and just smoke the whole thing, because that's a lot of money.
Exactly, yeah, it's a lot of wasted money. That's a great idea. I think people would love that. We'd have to take one for the team, because I think we'd be slaughtered after it. I think we'd have to set 2 days aside, because the hangover day would be extraordinary.
Absolutely.
But I think it's got to be done.
I think so. Just to try and get closer to him, Yeah, mate. Great choices. I love it as well. I think we both have the same sort of idea as well when we picked them, so I'm happy about that.
Nice.
I can definitely see all 3 influences on you for sure. Elvis surprised me when you said it, but actually, you know what? No, of course, because especially when you first started, that was your bread and butter, right? All the Elvis tunes and sort of like with guitar especially and gigging and stuff, right? In the pubs.
Big time.
That would have been okay. Makes total sense. Yeah, perfect, man. Great.
Nice.
Cool. I love it. I think, I reckon what we'll do, because we're trying to get more on the Instagrams and the social medias, for each one of these blokes, I'm going to put a post up, and we're going to explain why these guys are so top, and try and just get as many people looking into them a little bit deeper, maybe, because obviously everyone's heard of Elvis, Churchill, everyone, maybe Ian Fleming, maybe not so much. I guess a lot of people have, actually, but anyway, we've all heard of these people, but the reason we love them is the sort of the slightly deeper side of it, what they did, what they're about, and maybe that's something we can try and push and make people think about a little bit more. That'd be good.
Great idea. Idea. Gavel down on
Very
that one.
Cool. Yeah.
Fantastic. So we started a little book club, right? I think it's time to review our little book that we chose last time.
Oh God. Oh yeah.
How are you getting on with it?
Good Good. You start.